Councilman Campbell, you hold me over there. You hold me over there.
It feels like I'm at home.
He's got a copy. Everybody ready? Okay, we'll call this meeting to order. And thank you to everybody for being here and keeping your distances from each other. Just remind you when you're speaking, if you could, utilize the microphones. This is going live stream via WeStream, so people at home can hear all of the proceedings of the council meeting. So today is Friday, March the 20th, 1 p.m., special council meeting. So first off, any disclosures of a pecuniary interest of council? Always got to love the word pecuniary. It's not an easy one to say. Yes, Councilor Carriel.
Just a question on the agenda, Your Worship. The way the agenda, you read it, it looks like that this has got a lot to do with the hotels, but I'm assuming that when we talk about businesses, we're talking about all the businesses in our community, not specific to any particular group.
Yeah, I'll ask the CEO to comment on that, please.
Otherwise,
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. No, it just so happens that some of the items on there are just correspondence from them, but the presentation and the matters we're going to be dealing with will deal with all ratepayers in a similar manner.
So first off, I mean, I'm not going to get into Mayor's announcements other than the fact that you should understand, and you're going to hear more about this, that we've been meeting every single day, sometimes several times a day. And when I see meeting, combination of meeting and calling in between all of our emergency operations center staff, which is our senior staff, including the fire department, and we are working directly with our other levels of government. We are also working directly with our other municipalities so that we've got ongoing, continuous communications, trying to keep a consistent message. One part of the message has never changed. Social distancing is the best thing that we can possibly do, whether you're infected, whether you're not infected, whether you're help me, what's the word? Asymptomatic, thank you, or symptomatic. We need everybody to maintain their distance. That's the most important thing above all. Because if we can isolate this pathogen, we're going to get through it better and as little scathed as possible. So we've been working hard. Our phones have been going from the minute we get up until after we go to bed at night. We'll be meeting all through the weekend. The pathogen doesn't take a break after the day ends and when the weekend arrives. We are working on all aspects of dealing this, the vulnerable, and making sure that everybody's in a good place and nobody gets left behind. So I just want to reiterate that we've been on this, and I would suggest to everybody try to utilize your electronic means of communicating with your family members for checking in on them, and please check regularly on social media if you want to find out what we've been up to. And the other thing, our staff have done an outstanding job of creating a frequently asked questions part on the city's website. So as you ask these great questions through social media or you phone in, check there because we've probably already answered the question. If we haven't, we will answer and add it to the list. I know Dale Morton and her communication staff are making sure that we're getting the messages out there to everybody. So at this point, what I'm going to do is ask our CAO if he's going to take over and introduce our first reports, and then we'll go from there. Mr. Todd.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. What we thought we'd do is there's items on the agenda, but we thought we would just lead you through a presentation and kind of give you an overview of what we've been dealing with over the last several days. So Dale has put together a presentation for us. Bill, you going to drive the bus here, so if you don't mind? So just a bit of an update. So we partially activated the EOC last Friday. So we've been just about a week into it. And since that time, you can see that we've been trying to send as frequently as we can updates to council. We've been on the website. Our communication staff with Dale and her personnel have been trying to keep that up to date. Our IT staff doing a great job on, if you go right to the website, there's COVID-19 information hitting you right in the face. As the mayor indicated, we were having numerous meetings and coordination conference calls several times a day with all groups across the region. We're trying to keep communication lines open so that we're doing things in a consistent manner across the region. Next one, Bill. So this is what you get when you come onto our website. It's hitting you right in the face.
A fuzzy small picture.
Pardon me?
A fuzzy small picture.
A fuzzy picture just like that, yeah. So the next thing you go into, and I've got copies here if you'd like it, this is what the mayor was talking about with the frequently asked questions. So we've tried to populate this, and this is changing all the time, where it's been very useful to just answer basic questions that are going on sort of public health-wise, but also with respect to our city services as well. And I do have copies. If you'd like copies, I can hand them out, or if you want to take a copy after, certainly they're here and available for you.
For what it's worth, I just got a message, video and audio are out of sync,
Oh,
and nothing can be understood by people watching.
okay. Okay.
I'll monitor it,
Okay. I'll try to talk backwards now.
Sorry.
You okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So, so give you an idea of what we've been trying to break this down to. So when we talk about essential services, obviously fire service is essential. Transit services, although essential, we have recently had to cut back service levels, partly with some staffing related issues, but also related to ridership itself. So we've made some changes yesterday, effective Sunday, and until sort of further notice, we are going on to full Sunday service. So it's reduced service as the service outlined here. And it's 7 o'clock in the morning till 9 o'clock at night. There won't be extended hours. As you may not know or may know, the Green Line at the Parks Commission was shut down about a week or so ago. Our Blue Line that goes to the tourist area, it's going to go down to winter level of service, which again is reduced service. Charavan is seeing reduced scheduling as well. And we're just trying to manage that and put those rides in a priority to get individuals that are needing rides to hospital or for medical purposes as our top priority. The other things that we're considering as essential services we're continuing to do burials. We're continuing to do all of our water and sewer and emergency repairs. We're continuing to issue water meters for the residential building sector. We're having to do, and mandated by the province, continue to do our daily road inspections, pothole filling, any repairs that we need to do to meet our minimum maintenance standards. Of course, if we get any more winter control issues, we're going to be dealing with those as usual. We're dealing with any forestry emergencies where there's downed trees. You get a wind like today, we'll certainly have some trees and limbs down. We're dealing with our fleet and our mechanics on doing emergency repairs and making sure that the essential support services, whether it's at fire or municipal works, are continuing. We're continuing to do building permit inspections, and we're continuing to do our capital project continuance. That's what we're considering, sort of the things that we can keep running and hopefully not have interrupted. These are additional steps that we've taken. So as you're aware, we did close all of our facilities to the public, although all of our facilities are still manned with staff. We've enhanced our cleaning and disinfection at those facilities, and in particular with our vehicles and transit buses. What we've done, and we'll finish the process on Sunday, is we've completely sanitized all of our transit vehicles, and we're doing a micro banning process, which is a product that goes on in the buses and on the buses. You've probably seen this on TV with other transit facilities and subway systems to just make it more safe for our residents. We are also
Question on that.
yeah.
Got an email today from a resident regarding the buses. And I think maybe it was somebody who was a driver, and they were concerned about the people coming in and having direct contact. And they were suggesting maybe they could come into the back door and stay away at the back. Is that a possibility?
It's already in the presentation, so I'm just getting to that.
Okay, all right.
So, thank you. It's what we've been working on to try to, provide safety not only for the residents, but for our drivers as well. So, what we've done is we have, this is one we were kind of glad we got out ahead on, but we actually waived our noise bylaw earlier in the week to allow deliveries to all of our grocery stores and facilities, because we knew there were going to be odd hours. And if you saw yesterday, the Premier just announced that as a province-wide initiative. So staff is working on rotating teams. We felt that if this is going to go on in an extended period of time, we needed to break the staff up into groups. We've got them working on rotating shifts. We didn't want to have them all congregating together, so that if one staff member became infected, that we'd have to self-isolate complete sections. This will allow us to keep with especially our municipal works crews on repairs and maintenance as they arise, our building inspection and things of that nature. We've got the switchboard manned actively on a rotating basis all day. We've brought in some additional staff as of today from other sections to help man that, because we were getting so many phone calls in. Our parking enforcement, our commissionaires has been reduced in numbers, and we are only going around and dealing with traffic safety issues. We are not out actively issuing tickets or issuing tickets and penalties. And any current tickets in the system, they can be delayed, and we're not issuing penalties on them. Our water meter program, as you know, that's in full effect right now, we have postponed that temporarily. A number of residents were a little concerned about the contractors coming in and replacing their water meters being in their house. We've backed off on that, and we've postponed that until further notice. A lot of these things are addressed in the FAQs as well, which will be helpful. So some of the next steps, if you just go back one, Bill, sorry. So we are looking at, and this will be starting Monday, and we assume council is going to be supportive of this, as right to Councillor Thompson's comment. Starting on Monday, we're going to be going to what we call rear door entry only to our transit buses. That will isolate the driver so that nobody will come in any close contact at all with the driver. And passengers will be rear entry, and in the buses there will be signage and distance separation measures taking place. We're looking at putting up warning signs in our park. We'll be doing that over the next few days. So for our playground equipment and at the dog park, to just warn people that right now we are not physically able to be sanitizing our playground equipment. The messaging should be that really children should not be playing on the playground equipment. There's going to be public health updates, I think, Chief, coming out as we speak from the Medical Officer of Health. And we're working on measures as we move forward to see if it's possible to sanitize and somehow move forward on the playground equipment.
Thank you, Ken. How does one pay for their service on the buses if they're coming through the back door?
If it's a cash fare, you will not be able to pay. You basically got on the bus and take the ride. It's just something that we're going to have to balance off that revenue with the safety of our drivers. So that's how that'll work. So financial impacts to date, as I say, we've seen probably a 60 to 80% in our transit ridership. So we are definitely going to have hits in fare revenue and gas tax allocation. We have upped, obviously, our cleaning and applications at our city facilities and vehicles. As I've indicated, That microbanning, it's a fairly expensive process, but it's something that we felt we needed to do to protect the residents and the drivers. We did allow, and I think we sent this out, remember, to council. Council had previously provided approval for some funding to the overnight out of the cold shelter. We had not utilized all of that money, so we indicated to the out of the cold program when Project Share stepped up to provide day opening. We indicated that we would forward the remainder of the money that council had already allocated to help them keep that open during the extended hours. That is in force as of now, and my understanding is it's going to go on at least till April 9th and then be under review after that, I believe, as well.
Ken, we've got Lori and then Vince.
Through the mayor to our CAO, I just have an update on the out of the cold. It is open 24/7 starting tomorrow. There will be meals provided, a drop-in center, and then the shelter for sleeping arrangements. And it will go till April 9th. They will assess it at that point to see if they need to go any longer. And I just wanted to comment about Project Share. They've changed their hours. It is now from 10 to 3 Monday to Friday. You have to go to the back door to receive prepackaged food. If you have any other services that you need at Project Share, you can call in and they can talk you over the phone.
Okay.
I just wanted to give you that
Thanks
update.
for that update, Councillor.
Thank you.
Councillor Carrier?
Thank you, Worship. Just a question on the buses and the ridership. The next, we're down 60 to 80% reduction in ridership. Is there a point at which we park the buses and send the drivers, shut the buses down? Because it seems like, the province and the federal government are wanting people to stay home. So I'm not sure that it's not counterproductive to be, offering free bus service for people to get on and go wherever they want to go. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But if you get to a point where you're down 90%, you've only got a few people on the bus, I'm not sure whether or not it would make sense to have buses at all.
Well, it's a and it's a very good question, and it's something that, again, every morning we have a call with the regional transit group. I'm on that call every morning, and these are the questions that we're asking. And all the properties, St. Catharines, Welland, and us in the region, are all going through the same drop in ridership and paratransit riders. There will be a next step. I don't know when that next step will be and what measures we have to take, but we're constantly reviewing the service levels. And as you've seen, a next step might be, we have to go down to a further reduction in hours. The next step after that might be, are we basically parking the buses? So this is evolving as we go along, but I can tell you we're speaking with our other partners across the region every day, and we're making those changes sometimes almost on an hourly basis.
Councillor Coco?
Mr. Mayor, sorry, I forgot one thing. Project Share is listed on our website as closed as a fee for service, so they were wondering if it could be moved to essential services and shown that it's open. That would be appreciated.
Dale just left the room,
Yeah.
but we'll get that looked after. Yeah, thank you. Okay. So,
Thank you.
Bill, back to, where were we? Oh, and obviously we've got loss of revenue for Arena and some of our rental revenues. And there may be some costs incurred with suspending some of the contracts. For example, on our water metering program, there may be some costs that we have to incur for pushing that back and suspending that, meaning the contract's going to be extended. So other risks of funding, obviously gas tax revenue on the transit side gets coupled with a ride, and our ridership is down. Obviously the OLG payments due to the casino closures, interest and penalty revenues, we're going to talk about that in a minute. Reduction in some of our commercial tenant revenues. We've had some of our commercial tenants in our building saying, well, we're closed, are we getting a reduction in some of our leases and rents? And then reduction in the MAT tax collection, obviously because a lot of the hotels are either closed or way down in room nights. So those are direct impacts. So here's some of the things we're suggesting to council as a bit of a budget stabilization or opportunities that we can look at. Obviously, with lower gas prices, that's good news for us because we're paying less to buy gas. We're looking at curbing all non-essential purchases across the corporation, whether that would be furniture, equipment, supplies, things of that nature that really don't necessarily need to be bought today, that can be put off to a later time. And this is really just getting in when we talk about some cash flowing issues in terms of we're going to have some reductions on the revenue side. These are some of the expenditure side items that we can look at. We're looking at eliminating all conferences and travel for the remainder of 2020. We're looking at deferring all of our vacancies or new job vacancies at least until July or further in the year. That will give us an immediate savings of not having to pay those salaries and benefits. We are looking at going to the region and school boards and suggesting perhaps that they could revise their payment schedules that they expect from us to help spread out our cash flow. And I think we have to have the discussion fairly soon in terms of what impact the OLG reduction in payment has in relationship to the Niagara Regional Police payment and tying those together. And we'll be back to council on that once we kind of figure out what that impact might be. But that's certainly something that, I think the Premier said many times, like, all things are on the table, and that's one that we believe should be on the table. So here's what we're suggesting, and we're going to need council approval today for are what we call some tax relief measures. And there's several letters on your agenda from commercial property owners. And last night, and I'll get Serge to talk about this in a little bit, we had a very good telephone conversation with many of the large commercial properties and BIA members. These measures, though, are aimed to be citywide, not just aimed at any one sector. It would be for everybody. So we're talking about waiving of penalty charges for the current year. In other words, any billing in 2020, and waiving any of those penalties until June 30th. That means that anybody that can't pay their taxes, that they would not be added on any penalty during that time. We're talking about waiving penalty for water bills in the same manner. If you don't pay your water bill on time, don't worry about it. You're not going to be billed any penalty until June 30th. Same with any accounts receivable, waiving the penalty until June 30th. We're going to continue our pre-authorized payments for taxes and water, and we are going to continue on our regular billing schedule. However, people that do not pay on time would not be billed the penalty. We're not looking at charging any NSF checks penalties till June 30th, and we would not be disconnecting anybody's water for lack of payment until June 30th. Now, we're going to suggest to council, if you approve these today, that we'll come back to you prior to June 30th, let you know how this has been working, see if there's any further measures that need to be required, if this needs to be extended, whatever the matter might be, we'll report back to you at this time. This is just getting out, I think, providing some assurances to people that at least there's some mitigation measures there that we can put in place today.
Councillor Thompson.
I think that's what everybody is looking for, so I would make the motion that be put into operation as quickly as possible.
Okay, we've got a motion. Do we have a second? We've got a second by Councillor Campbell. Do we have any discussion to the motion? Councillor Pietrangelo, and then Lococo.
Yeah, thanks, Your Worship. As I look at this, I mean, it's all deferral. So I guess my question, and it's deferral of payments until such time that we establish this is the date now that things are due, and and then I don't know if staff is going to come back and tell us that interest and penalties are going to accrue from a certain point in time. I guess my question would be, are we going to go back and look at the budget?
Unknown caller.
Oh, sorry.
We have to look at the budget for sure.
So we'll ask.
With the OLG.
Yep. So Councillor Pietrangelo. Yep. Councillor, is there? more parts to your question? Because he's gonna give you an answer.
Yeah, no, I'm wondering whether or not we're gonna open back up the budget because, I mean, obviously, we're gonna have a lot of people who are gonna struggle with their taxes. And if the only measures that we're providing is deferral, I'm not so sure that that's going to entirely help them.
So if I may, so what we tried to do today is outline some immediate mitigation measures that could take place. We can certainly come back in the weeks ahead and look at what other budget things that we could look at. This was just to kind of get us over the first few weeks here. But so this would be a waiving, so it's not, so it would be the penalty if you're, it doesn't get you around the tax payment, but during this period of time, we're not charging any penalty on that.
Or interest.
And that's gone. So that's not accrued. It's just that if if the tax bill, Tiffany, for residential, for example, the next payment is?
April 30 and then June 30, I believe.
So if people did not make their April 30th payment, the payment amount is still due at some point. It's just that there would be no penalty applied to that until at least June 30th.
Or interest, yeah.
Yeah, so, okay, so,
No, sorry, Your Worship, I understand. I was just wondering whether or not we're gonna go back and look at the budget for this year.
that certainly, it wasn't on our mind today to do that. We tried to point to some of the things that we're just gonna say to staff, kind of stop spending in these areas, which will make it easier when we go back and have a look at how we can adjust some of the numbers in the budget. I will say that, the Director of Finance and I have been trying to find measures to stabilize some of our financial situation over this time. These are some of them. We're pushing off as many, payments and stuff that we can. We think our cash flow is in a pretty good place right now, and we can report back to council once we've had a chance to delve into it a little bit further.
Okay, so you're good for now? So yes, we are looking at our budget. Absolutely we are. Okay, I've got Councillor Lococo, then Campbell, then Carrier, and then Dabrowski.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I just want to make it clear to our residents, if you don't pay your taxes come April 30th, we will not be charging any additional penalties or interest.
That's right.
We will be revisiting that in June. I'd like also for people to understand, if you're paying your taxes through your mortgage company, you have to deal with your mortgage company to stop that. Or if you're dealing with your pre-authorized debit for the city, you have to contact the city to make those arrangements so it's not removed from your bank account.
Yes.
Is that correct?
And perhaps, Ms. Clark, you want to add anything to that, Tiffany?
I think
No.
she's.
Yeah, you'd have to make arrangements with us, because your pre-authorized will continue unless you make arrangements. So that's where we stand with that, so.
Okay, I've got Councillor Campbell, and then Carrier, and then Dabrowski.
What about people that owe money from previous year's taxes and penalties?
Well, this is talking about current year, so,
But they had trouble paying it then.
yeah.
Are we still going to
Well,
penalize them?
there,
I mean, that's something that I don't think has been considered.
well, and we come on, and
Come to
Tiffany
the
can talk about it.
Make sure the red button's on, yeah.
Yeah. We did consider it. So waiving interest the reason that says penalty is charged on current year taxes, interest is charged on arrears. So we're not suggesting waiving interest at this time. That would be an unintended benefit to taxpayers that were in arrears prior to COVID-19. Certainly if that's something council wanted to explore, that's your will. That was staff's position.
So conceptually, that was the thought, that, okay, you might have had difficulty before. We're trying to put relief measures in place to help people that are directly impacted by the virus and impacted through layoffs and all of that. We, again, as Tiffany's indicated, if council wants to have us come back on prior years, but this is just dealing with current year's taxes.
Perhaps we could ask staff to come back with those numbers so we know what we're dealing with. Some people, they're all over the board. Some people just don't want to pay their taxes. Some can't pay the taxes. There's all different scenarios. Maybe we can have staff come back with a synopsis of past prior COVID-19 tax issues. And of course, going forward, the ones directly related to what's happening right now. So does that answer the question? Your count? Yes, so that's good for now? Okay, thank you. So we go to Councillor Carrier.
Thank you, Your Worship. So the person who's in arrears, who's being charged or has been charged interest and penalties, that stops though now. So for this period, we're not compounding the interest on that particular person. Well, the person who owes before.
What we're suggesting is that we wouldn't be charging them interest on their current portion of billing that relates to 2020, but we would still be continuing charging interest on arrears. So anything billed 2019 and earlier, that would be unrelated to COVID-19.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I'd like to look at that again as after too. So, I mean, then the other question was just when I look at that, we talk about penalties, we don't talk about interest, but interest is included.
So interest only relates to the arrears. So
No,
because
but I
we
mean,
didn't.
on this schedule that we're talking about, it's penalties and interest are stopped for this period here.
Yeah, you don't really need to talk about interest in the current year.
Because there's no penalty.
It's just penalty.
Gotcha,
So,
okay, yep.
Yeah.
I can shed some light on that.
I think people do
dollar
just
value.
generally talk interest and penalty, but in
Yeah.
the current year, it's just penalty.
Okay.
Sorry.
So if we're just waiving current interest, the impacts on tax, water, and accounts receivables about $81,000 a month in lost penalty revenue. If we wanted to go further to waive arrears for that period as well, arrears interest, that would be an additional $125,000 a month. It's just to put that out there.
Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry, I've got Councillor. Are you good, Councillor Carrier, for now?
Yes, thank
Okay, Councillor Dabrowski, and then Lakoko.
Through the mayor. So just looking at June 30th, it's coming quick. If we were to go until September 30, just on property taxes, what would that do in terms of cash flow, fiscal responsibility?
Through the mayor. Without knowing if the school boards or the region will move their remittance deadline, right now we would owe the region on May 13th around $21,000 usually. We owe the school boards $10 million on March 31st, another.
21 million.
Yeah, 21
Pardon?
million. Million.
Yeah, what did I say?
21,000.
Oh, yeah, million. And then we would owe the school boards again on June 30th. So if they're not moving their deadlines, yeah, we will get into a cash flow crunch if no one's paying until September 30th.
Okay, fair enough, thanks.
And we're quite happy we are going to come back prior to June 30th and have this discussion again, because right now we really don't know where we're going to be in this curve of this pandemic, and I think it's prudent not for us to get too far out ahead of it now, because we really don't know where it's going to be headed over the next couple of months.
You're good for now? Yeah. Okay, Councillor Lakoko.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Is this the end of this presentation? I have a few
Nope.
other, okay, so I'll wait until later.
Yeah, thank you.
you.
Yeah, sure. Okay, Bill, let's carry on.
Well, we have a motion on the floor.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so, yeah, you wanted to, what were your preference right now? Do you want to include?
Well, we can wrap it all up with a big motion at the end, or if you want to just vote on that one part, that's good too.
I prefer to vote on that one alone.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so we've got a motion moved by Councillor Thompson, second by Councillor Campbell on the first part. So if there's no further discussion, we'll call the vote. All those in favor? Okay, and that's unanimous. Thank you for that.
I'd like to, Serge is here, and I really want Serge and his team and the economic development people across the region have done a great job putting this together, and it's some really, really important information that Serge is going to provide you.
Thanks, Ken. I guess everyone would agree it's an understatement to say that our business community is dealing with unprecedented times. And the mayors and the regional chair, seeing that and acknowledging that, have created a Niagara Economic Rapid Response Team. And we're also going to help collectively those communities that don't have staff to undertake this. But in our discussions, as the mayor had alluded to, we've had conversations with both ministries of economic development and tourism, with both levels of government. And what they urged us to do, and they said it's critical, is to get data from the business community. And so we are going to be sending out a survey to get that data, because it's important to understand what relief businesses need today and the type of relief that they're going to need coming out of this. It's critical. And they said you have to have data. You can't just throw out a number. We need that data from the business community. So we're doing that. That's going out, if not today, Monday, to our business community. We've had, our team is calling businesses. They're getting initial kind of conversation, let them know what services the city still has going on. We've had calls from the development community, said, listen, we're still going forward with some of our projects. Our inspection's still going ahead. Our people reviewing plans, and as Ken indicated, we're saying yes, it's a different protocol, but they're moving forward. Because if they can go ahead and move forward with their construction projects, we want to be there to help them. We don't want to stop those. Obviously, taking every safety aspect into consideration, we're doing that for staff, their staff, but they really appreciate it. The calls we've made, they're appreciative of the efforts that, City Hall doesn't shut down, that we're still operating, obviously, under different circumstances. Last night, as the mayor alluded to, we had a call with some of the BIAs and some of our key players, and we shared this program with them. They are very receptive to it. Next week, we have a call with the Minister of Tourism. The mayor set that up actually while we were on the call. As alluded to earlier, we've been talking to her quite a bit. In other ministries, we're going to have stakeholders on that call. And the whole idea is to give her a sense of the support we need, and now and again as we come out of recovery. So that's critical, getting this data. We've also reached out to smaller businesses. As you know, there's a number of relief programs that the federal and provincial government have announced, and some of them don't have the staff or ability to undertake submitting applications. We're there to help them do that. So we said, if you need that, if you want to apply for them, we're here to do that and assist them in that way. And we are going to help the different departments. If there's certain protocols, as like I mentioned, we're talking all the different development projects that are happening right now and saying, you need to follow these protocols so our inspectors can get there. So we're going to try to create a team to deal with that through a development review process. And we're still continuing. We just had a discussion, a meeting via a conference on some planning projects. So that's trying to happen as best we can. So again, I can tell you that the calls that we've been making, the business community really appreciates the support. And it's critical. This survey is going to continue to go out because things are changing. Obviously, it's affecting different industries to different extremes. Obviously, the hospitality industry is being decimated. I think they're 95%, if not 100% shut down. A lot of these, maybe the larger properties, have skeleton teams. So obviously, they're not getting revenue. There's not revenue. They still have things to pay. And I think some of the efforts that we talked about today is a good start. We might be hearing and seeing what we can do in other areas to help them, because they felt devastated laying off these people. People that had to lay off staff didn't want to do it. They had to. But now we have to make sure they can bring these people back. Those businesses have to survive. It's critical that we help them. And so we're going to continue with this initiative, and we'll keep council appraised as we keep moving forward.
Any questions for, yes, Councillor Carrio, then Lococo?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Serge, some of the people I've talked to have suggested that if you're going to be the spokesperson, or the group's going to be the spokesperson, it's much better to have a united voice. But the things they were asking were, if there was any type of help sooner than later, even if the community, there's no tourists here, or the businesses are shut down, whatever they are, they bring people back to work to do other things. Like I know a lot of the people that are laid off, they could be working, but the companies just can't afford to keep them. There's work to do even if there's not people here. This is the time of year when people paint, wallpaper, do all kinds of deferred maintenance, but considering the economic hardship, they've had to let those people go off too, just to be able to pay their mortgage, their hydro, their heat, whatever. So when you're talking to the people, or the people that are gonna make the decision, if there was a way to get money back to bring staff back sooner, even as long as it's safe,
yeah, and
they can be at work, I think everyone would bring them back to work sooner. If you understand what I'm saying.
100%, and that's one of the things prior to the call with the minister next week. We have our team, our committee of stakeholders, to kind of put some of these items in front of her. So that's probably going to be one of those that we'll bring forward for sure.
Great point. Councillor Lococo?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I had a few phone calls from some small business owners that have gone online to try to apply for the assistance, and they just didn't know what to do. So I'm really happy to hear that you're going to be providing that assistance. I hope on our website that we do have something that describes this. I know you're sending out the emails, but not all businesses will get those. Even things like tutorials about how to fill out the applications, because they were asking for a business plan. Well, how can you give a business plan if we don't know what we're doing tomorrow? So there's a lot of people that are really stuck. So I'm really happy to hear that you will be doing this, and I think we should put all this information on our website. Thanks.
And I'm happy to say, Serge and his team have been very proactive. I mean, we're first out of the gates, and we want to be at the front of the line. And we don't just want to have our handout say, we want money. We want to say, this is how much we're going to need. Here's the metrics, here's the data, here's what we're going to do with it, here's what the outcome you can expect. So we're taking a very proactive, prescriptive approach to this. And Serge is way out ahead of it, working with all the other economic development offices in the region. I have to give full marks to Mayor Senzik as well for aggressively pushing this forward, and the region endorsing what we're trying to do. So Serge is only going to be as good as the information that he gets. So we've reached out to all of our partners, and they've been very generous in their resources too, I should point out, saying if they have any staff, we need help disseminating any of the data, that they're ready to go. So I want you to know this doesn't end today at 4:30 when our official City Hall closes. This is going round the clock all throughout the week and throughout the coming months until we get this done. And Serge and his team are all over this, and not just Serge and his team, the whole city municipal team. I just want everyone to realize this is one part of what we're doing, but the key is there isn't a roadmap to what we're doing. We have to create the roadmap. So we're creating the plan, and then we're going to work the plan. So he's working on it. It's a work in progress. There isn't like we know we're just going to go to Pandemics 101 and how we're going to deal with this. We're creating this chapter of the book, and I'm sure future groups are going to look back at this and see how we dealt with this. So Serge and his team are doing a great job. Serge, you want to add to that?
Well, I just want to say, the whole corporate team, because everybody has to adjust, and they're still trying to deliver services. So it's been an incredible team effort, so you can, respond to the needs of the business community. I just want to say it's incredible what all their departments are doing to accommodate that as well.
Well, it is, and I'm just specifically addressing the business part of it, because Councillor Coco, you're right. These small entrepreneurs can't get EI benefits. They're not sure how to apply. I've spoken with our federal counterparts. They're not quite sure yet how it's going to work. So we're not waiting for them to create an application. We're already preparing our data, so we're ready to go front of the line, first out of the gates. So I'll now ask our CIO if he'd like to continue.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Not too much left to go. So the next thing we want to talk to you about that many municipalities have done is they've passed what they call a delegation of authority bylaw. It's been done at the region, and probably at least 8 or 9 of the municipalities across the region, and several more are going to do it first part of next week. It's really just a bylaw to delegate authority, in this case to the mayor and CAO jointly, to be able to expend money on initiatives that are related to the emergency that are not in our budget or haven't been previously approved. And these would be emergency related expenditures only. So for example, if we need to go out and say we need to do more micro-banning spraying because we have to give another application to our buses or to our playgrounds, we would have the authority to say we're just going to go and get that done, and it has to be jointly between the mayor and CAO. It then automatically ends when the emergency ends. So it's emergency related expenditures only, and has a lifespan for the emergency span, and the mayor and I have to jointly do that.
Do you want to move that one right now?
If you want us to go on, sure.
Okay, why don't we do that?
There is a formal bylaw that both the solicitor and Bill have prepared, but if you want to approve this motion, the bylaw will be there too.
So we've got a motion by Councillor Kara, second by Councillor Thompson. Is there any discussion? Councillor Lococo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to ask, you brought up, through the CAO, you brought up the micro ban.
Yes.
For the spraying. That's an emergency measure.
Yeah.
Would programs to help businesses be under that, or is that completely separate? Would you come back to council with those types of things?
Yeah, those would be things that I would say would be coming back to council, because they would be brand new programming that may or may not go beyond the emergency even, but these are really things that would be related to the managing of the emergency or responding to issues day to day that we may not have budgeted for. But for example, we made the call to say, you need funding for the emergency shelter. Yeah, we're gonna throw you some money over there. Council had already approved that, but we didn't feel we needed to get back to council to make that decision. We reduced some transit routes because of safety measures and things like that. We did that as part of the emergency. But if there was brand new programs and expenditures, we'd have to come back with separate reports.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Councillor Pietrangelo?
Thanks, Your Worship. Just looking at the bylaws, is this 2020-25? Is that the one that you're asking to get passed now?
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Okay. And the part that you're asking to be passed only relates to financial expenditures related to the pandemic? Because there's a number of other things that are listed in the bylaw, and I just had a question of whether or not any of these would be moving forward, or would these be something that you would be calling a council meeting for? So for instance, like official plan amendments,
Yeah, those
zoning
are
bylaws.
ones that you can't do.
Those are ones that you can't do. Okay, so this only relates to expenditures related to the pandemic.
That list, although it's not exhaustive, I know, Don, if you want to speak to it.
Okay.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, so the list on the first page of that bylaw, the section 23.31, those are all the things that can't be delegated. So they will have to come back to council. And I would point out, so you're delegating all your powers other than that. So if for some reason there has to be a decision made about a stop sign, I'm just throwing a stupid idea out there, but then they could make it. But you'd note that in section 5 of the actual bylaw, it states that the delegated powers can only be exercised if we can't get council to make the decision. So it's really just if we can't have a meeting, then the mayor and the CAO can make those kind of emergency decisions.
Okay, thank you for that. Thank you, Donna. Okay, if there's no further questions, we'll call that vote. All those in favor? Okay, and that's unanimous as well. Thank you for that. Carry on.
Yeah, great. Okay, next one is, so yesterday, this came up because yesterday the Premier announced it. Unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, there's two parts to this. And Bill, it'd probably be better for you to explain the status of this because you've been closer to it.
Yes, through the mayor. There was legislation put in place back through Bill 68 back in 2017 that did allow for councils or council members to participate electronically. We did not have that in our procedural bylaw. Not all municipalities opted for that. What yesterday did with Bill 187 was it gave council the authority to have electronic participation in meetings, but to waive the quorum element. So in other words, back previously in Bill 68 from a few years ago, if we had it in our bylaw for electronic meetings, we still physically would have had to have had quorum in this room. So we would have had to have at least 5 council members present, and then perhaps having 1, 2, 3, or 4 participate electronically. Yesterday's movement by the provincial government basically just waived that aspect, that live quorum aspect. So in order to implement electronic meetings, that process, we do need to have council pass an amendment to their procedural bylaw. First of all, just to give the authority to hold electronic meetings, and then of course with that would come the waiver of the quorum. The way the bylaw is written on tonight's agenda, if council does wish to go down that road, it would only be implemented for electronic meetings during a time in which there's a state of emergency, either called by the city or called by the province. I think that pretty much covers it. If there's any other questions, feel free.
Thank you, Mr. Mattson. So I've got Councillor Carrier.
Thank you. A couple of questions. You answered the one. This is only to be done during this emergency period, that it would go back to the way it was, where we do not allow call-in?
That is the way the bylaw is currently written.
Okay, then my other question pertaining to what's in front of me is, and this is an option, the other one, Bill, this is optional. Council may or may not adopt this. We do not have to adopt this.
That's correct. And in fact, the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing just sent out a bit of a, I'll call it a layman's terms of what this new Bill 187 implies. And one of the things that they do mention in this correspondence that came out today is it does say some of the key concepts are optional use. These provisions are optional. With these changes in place, municipalities continue to locally determine the contents of procedure bylaws. Municipalities may wish to review the procedure bylaws to determine whether to provide for electronic participation in meetings and whether to take advantage of the new positions if they meet local needs.
Okay, then another question I have is, in here on 6A.1, and if an emergency has been declared by the city or province, members may participate in open or closed meetings. So even if we're gonna talk about this at all, I'm not sure I'm real comfortable with having someone call into a closed meeting, considering that we've just put in new things into our procedure, not even to be able to have our phones or iPads or whatever. So I think that will be counterproductive to what we just done. So I'd like to have a bit of a discussion on that part of it, and then whether or not there's a need for this right now or not is another thing. I obviously been involved in a lot of corporations, boards, and commissions that have had this or not had this. It's usually been done if there's been a problem having quorum. It's not usually done just to do it. It's usually done when there's a company or a board can't get quorum. So we have had to do this. In this particular case, obviously, I don't think we're going to have a problem with quorum, so I just would like to see what the others have to think about it as well, considering now that it's an option, not something, I wasn't sure whether the province said we had to do it, or it was something that we had the choice to do or not do.
So, Mr. Metzen, on the in-camera portion of the call-in, do you want to comment on that for an in-camera meeting?
It depends on council's wishes. If they do decide to go electronically, I believe, and maybe a solicitor could help me with this, but I do believe that the procedural bylaw could be written to also allow in camera to be done electronically. It's currently not written that way.
Oh, currently not written that way, yeah.
Right.
I wouldn't want it written that way anyway.
The legislation would
Okay.
allow that if council wished to change their procedural bylaw to that effect.
Okay, thank you for that. I've got Councillor Pietrangelo, then Lococo.
Yeah, thanks, Your Worship. And I understand that the bylaw is kind of separated into two sections during a period of emergency and during a period of non-emergency. I mean, I think we're living in the dark ages if we don't implement it during an emergency period. Even the news that came out yesterday, in the sense that the President of the United States called for a teleconferencing for the G7 summit. So, I mean, I think if we're not going to implement, electronic teleconferencing during a period of emergency, then we're living in the dark ages. So I'm totally in favor of doing that. Now, going to the other part of the bylaw, which is just in a period of non-emergency, I honestly believe that needs more discussion. I mean, I think I would have a lot of things to say. I don't know that it's relevant for me to bring them all up right now, because I don't know that that's what we're considering here today. I think we're only considering during a period of emergency. So, but much like the comments that were made around in-camera, the presence of the person, how the meeting is run, there's a number of different factors to consider. I think it's just a different feeling when we're all together as opposed to an electronic meeting. So I understand for the purposes of emergencies that electronic teleconferencing I think is necessary. It should be something that we're doing. But for the other ones, I think I'd rather hold off and make a decision on that later. That would be my preference.
Okay. Councillor Lococo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm feeling about the emergencies, we definitely need to put that forward, and my questions about the regular and general meetings would be, what is electronic? Is it video conferencing? Is it call-in? I've heard that there's voting ways to do it electronically, so I'd like to know more about how all of that is set up before we look into that. I'd like a little bit more information, please. But I do think it's necessary in today's society. Sometimes we cannot attend, but I think it's important to keep abreast about what's going on. So I am in favor of the concept, but I would like to see the details.
Okay. Do you have any other questions or comments of council? Councillor Campbell.
Do we have the technology to do that today?
Well, Mr. CEO, did you want to weigh in?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We've been having some discussions with our IT. They believe that they can accommodate, whether that's audio or even potentially audio, some kind of video feed. But for sure, we could accommodate that from an audio arrangement.
So I'll throw my 2 cents into it. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Mattson?
Just through you, just to further allude to the CEO's comments, the next element then is how you get public participation there. And I think one of the councillors alluded to that earlier. Yes, we have the technology to do a video conference, we can do telephone conference, but then how do you get the public participation in that?
Okay, so yes, Councillor Dabrowski.
No, usually face-to-face meetings I'm all for. I think they're more productive, there's more clear communication, they're more positive, but in the case of the state of emergency, I'll support electronic meetings, but obviously we'd have to revisit in camera in future meetings as well. That's my 2 cents.
Okay, thank you for that. Donna, did you want to weigh in, or did you something you wanted to add?
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to say, if you wanted to restrict the bylaw to only be to an emergency or during the emergency, in the first number 3, the first sentence, sorry, you could amend it to just say the procedure bylaw shall be amended during an emergency as follows.
Okay.
Okay.
Got that. Councillor Coco?
Sorry, one more thing. I think we should have certain criteria. If, outside of an emergency, I think we should have certain criteria about who could participate if they were to participate. It couldn't just be, oh, I don't want to come that evening. I think there should be certain criteria.
Okay, did you want to add in?
I just, Councillor, if I can sort of hear where this may be going, is that with the wording that the solicitor's just given us, that the electronic meetings would only be permitted during a declaration of an emergency. All other times you'd be back to normal council, no call and no electronic. I think that's what I'm hearing.
But for discussion later for those.
Yeah.
So just a couple of thoughts, and I understand what Councillor Pierangelo and Councillor Carrier were saying. The G7 summit, it's a challenge of geography. You can't get 7 country people together with airports shut. Like, that just physically can't happen. And I know I've served on some commissions with Councillor Carrier, and we have people geographically way up north. They can't physically get to meetings. We all live in this community. And I wouldn't want this abused where someone's on a vacation on a cruise ship calling into meetings. You know, to me, you have to be present to be present. I think there's a lot of questions Councillor Lococo brought up, which I think we're going to need some staff to get back to us on the best way to do this. I mean, I did some interviews. I did all national media in the last few days, and one of them was Skype. One was done through Skype. And it's 100% not the same. It's an alternative if you have nothing. I would say if we can't hit quorum, then we definitely got to do something. Obviously, we don't have a problem hitting quorum today, but if we can't hit quorum, we have to do something like that. But right now, we haven't. It's not been a problem. So I just wanted to throw that out there, and I know right now still the province and the federal government are still having their meetings. They've spaced everybody out as we're doing in here with social distancing, trying to get 2 meters apart. So I mean, it's something maybe we're going to want staff to come back to us with some more information on how we would do it, when we would do it. I think there's going to definitely be a place for it. Just don't know exactly how we're going to do that. We've been given the authority by the province. We have to change our procedural bylaw. And definitely we got to figure out how we do this so that it's going to serve the people, because definitely the public participating is going to be a part that's going to be very, very difficult. I don't know exactly how we do that. There are ways. I'm just not sure how we're going to do that. I saw a hand, Councillor, I'm sorry, first I got Dabrowski, then Carrio.
And just to that point, we haven't had an issue in the past year, at least with reaching quorum. I think, again, face-to-face meetings are definitely more productive. In a state of an emergency, it makes total sense, but I think it'd be doing a disservice to the residents if we open up that can of worms. I think we haven't had an issue in the past year, but obviously under these circumstances, it makes sense.
Councillor Carrio?
Well, even in an emergency situation, I have a problem with having call-in or electronic participation in closed meetings.
Yeah.
I don't have it in open meetings. I got a problem considering our past history. Got a problem with it in closed meetings. So I don't know what the other councillors.
I would agree with that for closed meetings, for sure. I wouldn't want to see that. So we need a motion. We need someone to make a motion on a direction of where you want to take this. Councillor Thompson?
I think we all agreed that we just want it during the panic period right now. So move.
Okay, and open sessions only?
Yes.
Okay, only during a state of emergency, during open sessions only. Okay? Okay, second by Councillor Dabrowski. Councillor Coco? Yep.
Friendly amendment to look at the other options for regular open meetings.
And staff to come back with a
Correct,
report on
yes.
our options for how we would electronically conduct that. Good idea. Are you okay with the, yep? Okay, and the seconder's okay with that as well? Okay. Any other discussion around the motion? Okay, we'll call the vote. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Clerk.
So just procedurally, I think it's a good idea to separate those, only because the first motion would essentially be passing bylaw 2024, which is on your agenda, with, of course, the change that the solicitor had pointed out during an emergency, I'll call a state of emergency only, and of course, only during open sessions. So essentially, you're passing bylaw 2024. And then the staff to report back. I think it'd be a good idea to have that be a separate motion.
Okay, so we can separate those. The other question, maybe we should get clarification. We have not declared a state of emergency in the city. We have in the province. So maybe, I don't know if, Ms. Jacques, if you could help us separate the two, because right now we have not declared a state of emergency in the city of Niagara Falls.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So the bylaw as it's written and as the Municipal Emergency Act that was passed yesterday indicated, it's if either the province or the municipality has declared a state of emergency.
Okay. Okay, thank you for that. Councillor Pietrangelo?
Yeah, and Your Worship, just to reiterate, this is only for open meetings.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Councillor Thompson?
Yeah, just for emergency period. Okay, I'm happy with the motion, and we can discuss the other one later on after we get through this.
Okay. Everybody's comfortable at this point. We'll vote on the first part of the motion, which is the bylaw as amended, suggested by our solicitor. Okay. Call the vote. All those in favor? Okay, and that's approved. And now we'll vote on the second part, which will be staff coming back with a report on how we would deal with the electronic part. Moved by Councillor Lococo, second by Councillor Pietrangelo. All those in favor? Okay, and that's approved as well. Thank you for that. Mr. CAO?
I think we're getting there, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. If we just would get a motion, just if we could, Mr. Mayor, to endorse the measures that we've already implemented to this point that were outlined in the report.
Okay, well, I've got a motion by Councillor, no? Question? Question by Councillor Lococo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a few things on my list that we haven't covered. Could we go through them and then maybe they could be implemented depending on what?
Okay.
Well, are these things we've already done?
Already done.
So why don't we start with this first, things we've already done, and we can make a separate motion? Yeah. Councillor Carriel?
Yes.
Okay, moved by Councillor Carriel, second by Councillor Pietrangelo, that we move, do you have a comment, Councillor Thompson?
I just was interested in your comments about the province has declared an emergency. I have never seen anything like this in our community. How do we do that? Let's declare an official emergency in this community.
Well,
why don't we do that?
Well, it's funny, we've had this discussion, and at this point, we haven't seen, we're gonna ask staff to come back with the benefits of it. Because other than last thing we wanna do is create panic and anxiety in the community unnecessarily. If we've already got our executive authorities here, and we've already approving all measures we can do, what's the benefit? What's gonna change? So we're waiting to see if there's a benefit to it. So that's why we haven't done that at this point. Some people are doing it just flippantly because it sounds like a good thing to do. But I've challenged a number of the mayors. I said, why have you done it? And they can't answer the question. I said, then why would you do it? Because people are I'll tell you, I've been getting a ton of calls, emails, messages. People are sitting in their basements nervous right now, anxious, they've got anxiety, they're taking lorazepam, Ativan, they don't know how to do what to do. They're really nervous. And I'm thinking, why make them more nervous? We're doing all we can do. If there's something else we can do that we're not doing, show me. And I haven't seen that yet. So that's why the province has declared the state of emergency. It supersedes municipal, and we're wondering what else can we do that they haven't already done in their declaration. That's the only reason. It's a fair point, and that's why we've had that discussion. So let's call the vote on the summary of recommendations, if we could, please. We'll call the vote. All those in favor? Okay, and that's approved unanimously. And now, Councillor Lococo, you want to bring up a few further items?
Yes,
on
thank
that?
you, Mr. Mayor. Regarding transit, there's been a lot of questions if our drivers could wear masks. I've read a lot in general about masks, but what about for our drivers, for our transit riders and for the drivers?
So the chief almost jumped out of his chair and would love to come to the mic and speak. But
We've nicknamed him N95.
But I will say this, Council, before the chief speaks. He'll give you the medical part. The steps that we're taking come Monday with rear door entry should eliminate any of those concerns. But I'll have the chief give it to you.
Chief N95.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So we've looked at that and we've reached out to the public health experts. And the public health experts are telling us not to put masks on any of our staff with regards to transit. And the reason being is it makes the perception that they're protected and they're not. So with regards to masks, you need to wear the proper mask when you're dealing with these types of issues. It has to be fit tested. So that's another issue. We would have to actually use the mask to test them on it professionally.
Could you explain what that means to
Fit
the
testing,
layman? What's
yep.
fit
So the
testing?
fit testing is you put the mask on, you run them through a testing procedure to ensure that it's sealing properly and that they're applying it properly. There's two different ways to do it. I won't get into all the details, but everybody has to have that in order for it to work. So public health has ensured us that it is droplet only. It's not airborne. And we're hearing lots of different things about airborne. It's completely droplet. They're assured us of that 100% droplet spread, which means it's not a mask, doesn't require a mask. Because what happens is, if you can understand somebody that puts a mask on that's not used to it, it bothers you. They're not comfortable, and now the drivers are touching their faces, playing with trying to readjust it, and they're technically exposing themselves at a greater risk than if they didn't have the mask on. So, and the next thing is, fire in the entire region just gave 50% back of our PPE to Niagara EMS because they're running out. They don't have enough in the province, and our EMS has recalled all of our 50% of our PPE because obviously they're the frontline individuals to deal with these types of patients. So we've given that back up. So with the, I think we've done a great job in the EOC as far as getting rear entries and limiting the exposure to our drivers and taking direction from public health, our public health in the Niagara region. I think we're doing a great job with keeping the masks away and limiting or increasing, I think, the social distancing.
Thank you for that. Any other questions for the chief?
I'm not sure if they
Okay.
go for the chief.
Okay.
This would be a region question. I've had questions about our garbage. I know Toronto just asked everyone to pull their bags from the curb. Collection was today. I know that went through, but just to keep our residents informed as things are going. And was there a bag limit because people felt they were going to be at home more and producing more garbage?
That's a very good point. Thank you. Because what's happening is every night we have a conference call with all of the CAOs across the region, including regional CAO Ron Tripp. I'll put that on my list. That's a question I'll definitely ask him tonight, whether they would consider, you know, just if you had an extra bag, whether they'd automatically pick it up in this time. My understanding right now, I haven't heard anything about disruption of service. But again, it's all based on their employees being able to report to work. But I'll definitely put that on our list for tonight.
Okay,
Good
thank you.
question.
Another question was regarding what exactly is essential services. People feel that there's some businesses operating that shouldn't be, that they should be shut down. I know we've talked about grocery stores being an essential service. Banks have reduced their hours. Is there anyone looking at those types of things, or how could someone report them? There are some concern from some residents for their children working at some of the fast food places. What safety do they have?
Well, I think other than public health direction, and the chief may help me out on this, but, and maybe the solicitor, but I don't believe we have the authority to go and tell them to shut down. We're taking our direction from public health. Public health is taking the lead on restaurants and bars, but when you get into the convenience stores and things like that, a lot of the restaurants are doing takeout only or drive-through only, which is minimizing the interaction. So I think it's a little bit beyond our purview, and I think unless there's further direction coming from the province, we just have to continue to take our lead from public health.
Okay. Usually in an emergency, everyone says go get cash. Some of my experiences from a lot of the residents is people don't want to touch cash anymore, so they want debit cards or credit cards, and some of the population doesn't have that. So I just want to put that out there, that if you are going to places, people might not accept cash. It's something important that we should know. Another thing that's come up is our testing. I know worldwide that we're having a shortage of testing equipment. It's in the US, all over the world, and here in Niagara. Are we looking with public health? I know that they must be going through all of this, but there's so many people that I've heard that have been in contact with people that have traveled. Not that they have it, but they've traveled and they have some symptoms, but they're not getting tested. What can we tell our residents what's going on?
That's Chief N95.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So public health direction right now to all of our citizens is to follow the questionnaire that's on the provincial and the regional public health websites with regards to being tested. It has to be transmitted. The way this is transmitted is you have to be in contact with somebody that's positive. So you may have traveled with somebody that's been out of the country, or you may come in contact with somebody that's been out of the country, but that doesn't mean that you've got or potentially could have COVID-19. So the best suggestion that we're getting out of public health right now, and as the CAO had alluded to, we're also on conference calls with different agencies all the way up to the Minister of Health, and the Minister of Health is pushing hard to try and get more ability to test, more ability to get us PPE. So it's working all the way to the top, and we just don't have that right now. So the best thing is isolate, self-isolate, and that means staying home. If you're living with family members, you can self-isolate in the house. If you think you may have it or you're showing signs, then maybe you're living in the basement and using the basement bathroom and couch, and the rest of your family is on the first or second floor using the bathroom and the living quarters there. So you can keep that from spreading. And then you just have to be patient, because if you're not hitting their criteria, they're not going to test you because they're overloaded. They don't have enough test kits. They can't do it quick enough. And now you've got first responders that are trying to get tested first because they've been exposed, and we're trying to get them back to work. So it's becoming almost like a pecking order with regards to nurses and hospitals, people taking the priority. Not that we've had any yet, but that's kind of where we're headed with public health at the moment.
And
Thank you,
Chief, PPEs for the layman's at home that don't.
Oh, sorry, PPE is personal protective equipment. So when fire and EMS, and please don't be alarmed to the citizens that when we show up and we got a mask and gloves and goggles and a Tyvek suit or a gown on, it's to protect us and the citizens that we're trying to help.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's important to let our residents know, because there is a panic about why people aren't getting tested. I did call the public health line and went through all of their criteria, and basically if you have symptoms, that's one thing, but if you haven't been in contact with somebody who's traveled or who has the virus. So it's important that our residents know that. I think it's important that we really focus on what social distancing is, because some people are thinking, oh, I'll go have a tea with my friend, or sit down and have a coffee, or a play date. I would like to see more on our website about what social distancing is, what you can do, what you can't do, and put as much information. The FAQs, I'm all over it, looking at, and I didn't even know they were there. So I want to go through those, have as much information for our residents as possible. And I was wondering if we could have a copy of this presentation as well.
Yep, no problem.
Mr. Mayor, we can We'll email it to all members of council.
Thank you. I think those were all my questions. Thank you.
Thank you for that.
Mr. Mayor, just
Yes.
to answer that question, Public Health is in the process right now of releasing more FAQ, if you will, and the biggest question this morning on the conference call was to exactly that, tell the public what social distancing is, and because they're now coming out with saying social distancing is not only the 6 feet, but it's staying within your own family and not playing with your neighbor's son or daughter and not being on the street playing hockey. So that is coming out from Public Health probably in the next day.
Okay, thank you for that, Chief. Councillor Carrio?
Just a question pertaining to the people that we're talking to. No one seems to know what the rationale is for the timelines they pick. So people are asking me, what are they using as their criteria to say, okay, we're going to do this for 30 days or 2 weeks or 3 weeks? Because the business community probably would rather have it straight if it's going to be 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, telling us at the end of 1 month that it's another month, and at the end of that month it's another month. They can't plan very well that way. If they know it's going to be 4 months, it would be a lot easier for them to bring in procedures and help themselves. So we don't know what the criteria is. Maybe no one knows what the criteria is, but someone must know what they used to pick the timelines they picked.
Fair enough. So Chief, you're our chief conduit with our medical health people.
Correct.
Maybe you could relay that part of the message that for planning, and I don't even know that they even have an answer at this point, but it's part of the concern is how do you plan when you don't know what you're planning for?
So if I understand correctly, you're asking how long this may go as opposed
Well,
to
and what
5
they
to
use
14
as their criteria
days?
to decide it was going to be 2 weeks or 3 weeks? Is it just the amount of new cases that show up? Is it, what is it?
Okay.
So that way at least people can say, oh, well, there's no new cases, maybe this will end. Or if that they've just placed a time period with no real reason, and then they're going to address it again and again and again and again.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to ask Mr. Felicetti, if he come back up, there's one thing he did want to address in his presentation about local businesses. And one thing we do want to stress, continue to buy locally. You know, there's a lot of restaurants that have their takeouts open. Go support them. There's people that need those paychecks, people that got to pay bills, and there's a lot of restaurants and a lot of local businesses doing some great things in our community. You know, I see residents putting rainbows in their windows, painting to show that there's kids inside, doing playtime. Some of our concerns are people playing on playground equipment that has not yet been treated. We just want everyone to be aware. There's still a lot of people out there that are still in business, still working, and we need them to work. The last thing we want to do is grind our economy to a halt. That is the last thing we want to do. We need to take precautions, but don't shut things down. So, Mr. Felicetti, our Director of Economic Development, just want to share with us a couple of situations and stories.
Yeah, so during some of the phone calls we've had, even with some of our manufacturers, some of the larger ones, they've told us that as long as the supply chain continues and their customers are still taking orders, they're operating. You know, at this point, some of them haven't laid off staff as long as those supply chains continue, and that's critical. So again, that could change day to day, and I just echo the things that you've just said already. But I know some good things are happening too. With the casino, for instance, there was a call. They have some food products that they're sharing with, obviously since they're closed, with Project Share and some of the other agencies to help those agencies feed people in our community. So some real good things are definitely happening out there.
Thank you for that, Serge, because a lot of our manufacturing community is still at work. A lot of our service sector is still working, and we want to support them. And use the drive-through, support them, support the staff that need to support their families as well. Not everybody has benefits, so a lot of people need that paycheck. So if they can do it in a safe way, we're hoping to support them. Councillor Dabrowski?
Actually, and to that point, through you, the Mayor, to Serge, is there a way on our website we can create a page for businesses that are open? I know a lot of people are sharing posts on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, and it's kind of a bit of a, I don't want to say a mess, but it's all over the place. Is there a way we can have IT create a website page with all the businesses that are operating locally, phone numbers, websites, just so we can have a conduit all in one place?
Great idea.
Yeah, we can look at that. Of course, we have a site where businesses can access some of the programs that are available to them, but we can look at who's available. I know we're doing something for the seniors, which grocery stores and pharmacies are opening early for them, so we're putting that on our website, so we could look at other initiatives such as the one you just described, for
Why
sure.
don't you make that motion, and we'll just do that, put that part of the FAQ right on the homepage. What's that, we don't?
He's going to do it.
Okay, we're gonna do it. It's
Well,
gonna,
and even to that point, we could all share it on our Facebook pages and social media pages, but if there's an email address we can create.
Yeah, central
business
place.
open, that way somebody's not sending it to the wrong email address, but if we can kind of confine it, that would be effective, I think.
why don't you just make it official, so it's done? Motion by Counselor Dabrowski, second by Counselor Pietrangelo, that we set this up so any businesses, and they're updated, it's on them to get to us, so we can post it, and we'll use the city's website
Yeah,
as a central information.
niagarafalls.ca/shop local, I think would work well.
Sounds
Be
good.
easy to promote
Sounds
as well.
good. All those in favor? Okay, and that's approved. Thank you for that. Mr. CAO?
We should just run through things, Bill, that we haven't missed or that we haven't got on the agenda. We should just approve those.
Yeah, so one of those being the, because we've separated our bylaws, we didn't pass them all in one fell swoop. There is one bylaw still left on there, and that's just the confirmatory bylaw, so we should just get a motion for that.
Motion by Counselor Pietrangelo, seconded by Counselor Thompson, that we approve the confirmatory bylaw. All those in favor? That's approved. I'd also like to acknowledge today is our solicitor's last day, Donna Jock. It's been a real pleasure having her with us. I know we're going to be sad to see her go. She's going to go back to where she once was, and I'm sure that they're happy to have. Pardon me? She's going back to school. She's going back to school. She, you know, we've been really lucky to have Donna here, and she's going to go back to where she was once employed. I'm sure they were happy to get her back. So I guess our loss will be their gain. So on behalf of the city, we want to say thank you to your service to the community of Niagara Falls, Donna, over the last year that you've been here. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much for those kind words. I've enjoyed my stint at the city. I've learned a lot. It's a very interesting community.
Interesting, air quotes.
Well, from a legal standpoint, it's been a very interesting experience, let's put it that way. And the people here are amazing to work with. And I want to thank you for the opportunity and hope everything goes well as can be expected for the next few weeks.
Thank you very much, Donna. Councillor Carrier.
Just another question, Your Worship, about when Councillor Pietrangelo asked about the budget. Are we going to bring that back to talk about it, or how do we leave that? Because I think that, you know, having been the person that made the motion to approve the bylaw, had it been today, the budget, I'm sorry, had it been today, I'm not sure that I would have voted to increase the taxes 4%.
Why don't you make the motion that we ask staff to come back?
I'd like to look at it again, Your Worship, because if this goes on for 6 months, I mean, or 5 months or 4 months, that's the other reason I asked the other question. I mean, if we're back to normal quick, then maybe we'd leave all well enough alone. But if this is going to drag on and on and on, we should really have a backup plan on the budget, even going further.
Yeah. Yep.
So I move that we bring it back.
Okay. Motion by Councillor Carrier, second by Councillor Thompson, that we bring the budget back. We have no choice. We have to have another.
And maybe
look
ask
at
the region too, Your Worship. Maybe the.
And you know what? And that's a great idea, that we suggest the region do the same. Hopefully the
Absolutely.
school board is going to
Absolutely.
do the same. Everybody that's.
Everything's different.
Everything.
Nothing
the
should
world
be
has
off the
changed.
table.
I agree with you. And we have to cut the cloth to fit the suit. And this is a prime time of when we have to use austerity measures. So if there's no further discussion to that motion, we'll call the vote. All those in favor? Okay, so thank you for that. We're going to bring that back. I do want to point out too, I've had people text me and ask what these are. These are diffusers. We're running cleansing property essential oils. Some of them are On Guard through doTERRA. This is a sanitizing mist. So this is helping to kill the germs for anybody. I mean, sometimes people don't like the smell of it. I don't particularly love the smell, but I like what it does. So for those people asking what we're doing here, it's not that we're trying to create atmosphere by...
That's been going for a year and a half.
Yeah, since I...
Start that.
No, since I came back from my chemo, this is one of the things I did, and there's other people in this room too that have had some immunity issues, so that's why we do that, in case anybody's asking, because people have asked me, what are you doing in the background? What's next? Do we have any other items for council? Yes, Councilor
Just
Dabrowski?
one more thing, and Councillor Lococo brought it up earlier about waste management. And I learned today that the region is asking people, and I'm all about reducing waste and landfill, but they're asking people to place used tissues and napkins in the garbage instead of green bins for the time being. They're also asking everyone to use liner bags, whether they're paper or compostable plastic, in their green bins, and to put all garbage in garbage bags rather than throwing it in a garbage can and leaving it loose. And then furthermore, anyone who is sick should put all items that came in contact with their mouth, nose, or eyes into the garbage, and that includes blue box items such as water bottles and juice bottles. The region says that this will help keep garbage collection crews healthy. So just kind of an FYI, and I'm not sure if that's on our website, but again.
No, but let's add that. I know Dale's
It's a regional
watching this.
issue, not a regional, they spearhead waste management for now. But yeah, if we can put that on our website, communicate that, that'd be great.
That's great, and I'm sure Dale's watching this right now as well. She is, okay. So if there's nothing else, we'll ask for a motion for adjournment. Councilor Lococo, second by Councilor Dabrowski. All those in favor? And we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Yeah.